Hello, everybody, and welcome to the group chat. We're missing one of our colleagues, and that is Robbie. Robbie is off traveling. We cannot wait to hear about the secret travel that he made us aware of last week, that he had some secrets he was keeping from the group chat, but we cannot wait until he returns. But until then, you got Stephen, Emma, Joe, and myself, yours truly, holding it down on behalf of the four of us. And I am so happy to be here. Now, don't forget, we got a new channel. Make sure you help us get our numbers up. We are taking friends and frenemies. Y'all know how I feel about the frenemies. When it comes to metrics and needing to get our numbers up, we will accept the frenemies on the group chat. So make sure that you like and you share and you invite people. Emma, Joe, and Steve, man, I just want to get this started. We're having just a little bit of behind the scenes conversation that I think we should let our group chat people in on. And that is Emma loves to walk on the wild side. Steve, she says she likes a little danger.
She does.
Like a little nature.
A little nature, a little nature, a little danger. And then as mothers, those of us who have been, blessed in that regard and have wanted to be blessed in that regard, how we can guilt our children for the rest of our natural lives about how we survive death. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. All of that. And speaking of that, colleagues, Father's Day is coming up. So this is a great segue into Father's Day. I heard a comedian say that Father's Day rates way below like Arbor Day or something like that. Mother's Day is an international, intergalactical holiday. We're just gonna put that out, but fathers matter too. So I want to take this time, you all, before we forget, Stephen and Emma Joe, to wish those fathers who have joined us today and the fathers who will view our show later a very, very happy Father's Day, and those who have the father spirit, because you don't always have to have a physical child to be someone that has either a mother spirit or a father spirit, and you're looking out for your community. Anything from you, Emma Joe or Stephen?
Yeah, I was thinking that the show should really honor my father this Father's Day, because you wouldn't get this crazy right winger without him.
Crazy and intelligent.
And intelligent. How
That's
about
my
you,
dad.
Stephen? Who you thinking?
And shout out to my dad and my brother, who are both great fathers and very, very grateful for the example that they set in my life. And my dad was just helping me hook up some of the tech here, so thank you to my dad.
Thank you, Dad, for that. And yeah, I definitely want to shout out my dad, incredible father, my son, who was an absolutely incredible father, had an incredible mother. So what do you expect? Incredible, incredible son, and to other fathers. So as our folks talk to us today, if you have a father that you want to shout out, please feel free to do that. Yeah, fathers are underappreciated sometimes, I think, and so I want to take this time to share that love with the men who hold it down. Now, you know what? DSA, baby, Democratic Socialists. I don't know, that's kind of weird segue, but I'm going to do it anyway. The Democratic Socialists of America, their back candidates gain ground in DC and beyond. What does this mean exactly for the Democratic Party? Oh, I got a whole lot to share on that. But before I do that, let's go ahead, team. Roll SOT 1.
To ban cooperation with federal immigration enforcement agencies, free buses. Now remember, Mom Donnie couldn't deliver on some of the stuff. City-owned grocery stores and more. Last week, President Trump warned he won't put up with this, and he might even consider a federal takeover of Washington, D.C. if she wins. The RNC chairman says this may well happen.
This is all on the Democrats and Mamdani and AOC. They've inspired these left-wing wackadoo candidates. The fact that D.C. is about to elect a socialist shouldn't surprise anybody. But if you live in D.C. or if you work in D.C., it should scare you.
I mean, what happened to all power to the people? So, Stephen, I'm going to throw it over to you, and then Emma Joe, and I reserve some of my comments. Hopefully you see some of the stuff on my face. But Stephen, what say you? What's your hot take on this?
Let's try, and then you can take over and make it to the audience.
Well, I don't know a lot about the DC candidate, but I do know a lot about the Democratic Socialist, who's the by some measures, the leading candidate for governor in Wisconsin,
I
Francesca
do
Hahn.
too.
And I believe
Yes,
you endorsed her, Nina.
I did,
Yeah,
Stephen.
I saw that. And Fran's a friend of mine, so we have a personal connection. But what I'm seeing in Wisconsin, in these cities around the country, I think speaks to three reasons why Democratic Socialist candidates are doing better than you might expect. And this is just me putting on my political analyst hat for a second. Three things. So first is the DSA candidates are anti-establishment. And generally, people are unhappy with the establishment. You look across the board at institutions, people are less and less trusting of institutions, whether that's political, financial, media, or otherwise. So that gives a built-in advantage to the DSA candidates. The second is authenticity and feeling like you're getting their honest take on what's happening. I think, John Boehner infamously said in his book in describing Bernie Sanders that Bernie Sanders is about the most honest politician that he had ever met, working in the United States Congress. And I think part of the reason is these DSA candidates have not come up through the machine, and as a result have more freedom to be themselves. We're talking about danger earlier. These candidates maybe have a higher tolerance level for danger and dangerous messages that they think are important, and as opposed to being seen as sort of corrupted or compromising of their principles. So that's the second thing. The third thing, and this might actually might be heard as a critique of DSA candidates, but I just think it's where we are right now as 21st century politics. I think DSA candidates play better on social media. I think that when you talk about abolish ICE or making college free for young people in our country, these are things that cut through on social media. And, I remember when I was running and, I'd get these questionnaires from the progressive left groups, the DSA groups in Wisconsin. And there'd be a number of issues we actually agree on, but I would also say, like, I'm not endorsing these slogans. I'm actually not endorsing the Green New Deal. I'm not endorsing abolishing the police, but I do believe in X, Y, and Z. And I think the sloganeering of some of those positions actually plays really well on social media. For those three reasons, I think DSA is on the rise.
Wow, that's deep. Emma Joe, you're taking, would you not mind? I mean, certainly not to pin this on you, but about not pinning on you, but why is the president not, why you got to try to take over DC? I mean, they already control DC. DC is not even a state.
Yeah, well, no, so like just what Steven said, I totally agree. And I guess like maybe I would just expand one of his points, especially I think what the subterranean point through all of them which was that they have this authenticity that like establishment Democrats do not possess. So like, for sure on social media, if you have like these astroturfed ChatGPT style posts, you're not going to get any engagement. It doesn't work for social media, and only really authentic content works, or like spicy takes works. Risk, humanity, in some way, emotion in some way, like is what works on social media. So that's why DSA and like progressives do really well, I think, in that space. And that's like kind of the theme, I think, of why they do well in general, is because they're realer. And like we're in a moment now where that is like real capital and currency in politics. So, that's so true. But, I think that the Democrats and progressives are in a precarious position, given that this is the case. And Nina, I can't imagine that you would disagree with this, at least not privately. Let's see how you respond publicly. But the DSA and progressives have, on the one hand, this really compelling platform. They have real policies. Many of them are creative, if not at least like ambitious and like daring and inspiring in a lot of ways. Medicare for all, and like how, or that's the slogan, but really like making healthcare accessible for everybody is like really inspiring. That's a country that I want to live in. That sounds like a nice place to live. Accessible higher education sounds like a really nice place to live. Like there's a lot of these populist messages that were unspeakable in a Democratic Party of old, that are now like the DS, like the progressives like lean into them, elevate them as their central policy agenda, and really try in earnest to pursue them, I think. aside from the fact that they won't close the border, but I won't go there. Their problem is their problem though is that they do have a side of them that is nuts. They have there are people in the movement, which I'm not going to say MAGA doesn't have this problem because it absolutely does. And I know that it's an effort to try to feel out where the line is and then rein it in, where that line is being when that line is being crossed. And they have sometimes people who come out with things that are like not good, that are not good, that are not appealing. You know, obviously, there can be, for example, I don't want to be general if I'm trashing, especially, like in foreign policy, there can be this moral equality between countries, as if there's no moral claim to create hierarchy between countries. I don't think that plays well, for example, with the American people. And so there's all of these risks that are associated with that authenticity, which I suppose is part of authenticity. But that said, it's like it raises the stakes. It raises the stakes on going in for progressives. It raises the stakes for running them and having them be the face of the party and having them be the future of the party. So I think that it's really interesting. It's about time. I think that this has been trying to launch since Bernie, since MAGA was born in 2015 as well. But it's not going to be a situation where it's like chill, low stakes. You can run a generic D ticket. There's no like generic Ds around. Like these people are fire breathers, and it makes people nervous.
Yeah, we need some fire breathers. I agree in public with what you're saying to a certain extent. I mean, life makes hypocrites of us all. And so one of my challenges with the progressive left is sometimes, first of all, it's a young movement compared to neoliberal Democrats being birthed during the campaign of Senator Bernie Sanders in 2016. So compared to status quo neoliberals, is really, really a very young movement. And sometimes I think this movement gets caught up in not understanding how power works and to understand that we got to get the power to get the policies. Ultimately, the policies of most on the progressive left are those types of policies that will lift people, that will give people more of a fighting chance, even if people don't agree with them. And as you laid out, having universal health care, well, everybody might not necessarily agree with it, but when you peel back the layers on why most bankruptcies are based on health care, people are filing bankruptcy because they can't afford their health care, they can't afford their prescriptions and on all of the things that just come with being a human. Making sure that people don't have to work in a gig economy, making sure that if you buy coffees at Starbucks, for example, you're going to pay over $5 and some change, but the minimum wage is only $7.25. So I think anybody advocating to increase the federal minimum wage or to do away with the sub minimum wage, and I can go on and on and on. The movement is not perfect in the way that it treats people from time to time. But I do believe what the movement pushes for, by and large, whether people agree with it or not, gets everyday Americans to a better place in their lives. And none of this is new. I mean, if you think about President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was no democratic socialist by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, one of the questions he was asked about, it was something about what is your greatest accomplishment or something like that. And I believe he said it was saving capitalism. But FDR understood that we needed an economic Bill of Rights, that the current Bill of Rights was not enough during World War II, and Americans are going through stuff and helping the world. And he said, I got to give people something. So let's talk about an economic Bill of Rights. We're going to take care of people who can't take care of themselves, decent housing, education. I mean, it almost exactly mirrors, with a few exceptions, because now we're looking at this through the 21st century lens, that of what modern day 21st century progressives talk about. And FDR was not a progressive. So, Joe, I get it. I'm frustrated with the movement sometimes. I'm definitely frustrated with MAGA. I'm glad you came out and said none of these movements are perfect. Sometimes people can be vicious. I certainly believe most of the time, help me, Black Jesus, hard on the issue, soft on people. And even I fail at that from time to time, not seeing people's humanity, So it's a struggle. It's called the human condition. But I get you. And Stephen, you laid it out. And I love, Emma Jo, when you said the authenticity, that gets you in trouble. That is the point, that people by and large across the political spectrum are sick and tired of phonies. And that is one of the appeals to President Donald J. Trump, although I believe he sold people a bill of goods, but I'm gonna put that in the parking lot. It was his indictment of a system that now he is not necessarily correcting, in my opinion. We got Anthony, one of the greats of the Group Chat Nation. I love that. One of our producers said, hello, Group Chat Nation. That's what we're going to use, y'all, the Group Chat Nation.
Yeah, I like that.
Anthony.
That sounds good. So I agree with everything Nina just said here about the Bernie Sanders wing. Even though I'm an independent, I would say that Bernie, I don't agree with everything, but I am sympathetic to him. I'm not a Democrat socialist. I'm actually more of a social democrat. I hate that.
Yeah, social democrat.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm not a socialist. That's right. Any difference. But the one thing that is frustrating me a little bit about the progressive movement right now, and it's actually kind of affecting me personally, is the litmus test that I've been seeing from many progressives regarding the Israel-Palestine conflict. In the sense that if you have, and again, I've said this before, I think what's happened to the Palestinians is terrible. And I also think what happened on October 7th was terrible. I can easily say those two things. But that people are so emotional on either side of it, and people want to make that a litmus test and make that the obsession of, in these primaries that we're seeing, whether it's Graham Plattner, Abdul Al-Said, all these other things, and saying, and I think I heard someone on the Atlantic say that that's almost a distraction from the economic stuff that we do in here. So I'm like, hey, let's focus on raising minimum wage, getting universal health care. What's not? And again, this Israel-Palestine issue is becoming a litmus test for anyone who just has, even whether you're either too pro-Palestine or too pro-Israel. I'm getting that both from people. It's infuriating, and it's just frustrating to hear that.
Yeah, any thoughts, Emma Joe or Steven, on what Anthony just said?
Yeah, I mean, oh, please go ahead.
I think it's really well said, Anthony. I was kind of speaking to that earlier too, this litmus testing of politics that happens, that I've experienced with some of the far left groups. And, it's tough because on one hand, there's like very genuine and honest concern of like where, these issues are coming from. But then the application of it is very much like you're with us or you're against us. It's totally like zero sum. And the problem with that is that doesn't actually lead you to real solutions. It doesn't lead you to building the coalitions you need for real change. And just like you said, expressing your concern and kind of empathy on just a human level for Israelis on what they faced on October 7th, that's something that, felt difficult to even talk about in some of these circles. And so I think the broader issue here is there's something, what I just picked up on with that culture. It's like a political culture, is that for like young people, I'm thinking of like some college students who are totally like all in this movement. It's just like a impatience with change. It's a being fed up with being lied to over time. And I think that energy is actually productive in some ways, but that needs to be connected with, hey, we need to be building a big tent. Just because you don't agree to a 3-word slogan doesn't mean you're not on board with supporting the working class. And one additional thing I'll say on this, because we've been talking about kind of the working class nature of our politics right now, I do think that's going to gain more and more currency as we see us entering or already in sort of a Gilded Age economy. And
we're in it.
We're in it,
No doubt.
Bernie Sanders will have to update his slogans. It's not about the millionaires and billionaires. It's also about a trillionaire now.
That's right.
And I think you see what's happening economically for, working class people. That leads to a kind of French Revolution like energy. And that's why these movements are on the rise. Real quick, I got to share an anecdote that Emma Jo, when you were talking about the DSA candidates, it reminded me of a moment I had in a green room with Charlie Kirk and some hosts of the Young Turks, which, for folks not familiar, very progressive left associated with some DSA candidates. I remember Charlie saying, I have more respect for you than I do these corporate Democrats, because at least I know where you stand and actually believe what you're saying. And I thought that was a really interesting moment between the Young Turks and Charlie Kirk behind the scenes.
100%. Yes. Yeah, I could so see that. And I totally agree with that. I feel the exact same way. I mean, that was like main point that I was making when my first comment was like, it's so real that like sometimes it's like a little scary, but it's like human, as opposed to focus group, like consultant, like Petri dish creation. And you have to respect that. You really do. I mean, personally, I really do respect honesty and authenticity first and foremost. That's probably one of my highest values. And the DSA progressives, like they're like, yeah, that's their first foot forward. But that's the thing, Anthony's point about just the purity testing stuff, and I agree that that happens on the right, and I find myself I find this especially on social media where you have a lot of people who follow you because of your specific brand, your political brand. And it's like, well, sometimes like, because I'm human, I have thoughts that depart from the brand, or feelings or something, or like what, and I want to talk about something maybe that doesn't have to do with politics at all or whatever. And there's this like, a backlash that you can get for
Oh yeah.
expressing something that's like off the reservation, and that I'll really resent that, and but you think about it and it's like I feel like the thing with populist politics for sure, and probably all politics, but it's 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 policy, and it's like political ideas, and then it's also culture and vibes. And I think that that is like the more emotional side of it. It's like, of course, obviously, I don't think people are gonna get offended by my opinion about tax policy or whatever. But the thing is with MAGA, and I think with the DSA scene too, is that it's like it's very cultural. It's very cultural. So, we're not talking about like politics at that point. We're talking about belonging.
Right.
Well, that's a good point, Imogen. I don't
Meaning.
think any of us can separate culture from this. We try to pretend like we are, but we're really not. As far as the litmus test, my take on this is that there are some things where you got to draw the line. You call it a litmus test, or you call it your red line, call it something. And when it comes to human lives, when it comes to genocide, people got to stand up and say something. I mean, at this point, the loss of life, both American lives and people's lives overseas, the destruction of property, of mosques, of temples, of churches, of schools, I don't consider that so much a litmus test as much as people are looking at where we are right now and saying, we cannot continue to do this. We cannot continue to act and comport ourselves in this way. We cannot continue to believe that allowing our money to be used for bloodshed to this magnitude is not going to come back and haunt either us who are alive today or future generations from now. None of this stuff is happening in a vacuum. And so on war, I don't necessarily think it's a litmus test, but I can understand how some people do feel that way. And I understand how some people, even if they are what I would consider the righteous side, can have a type of self-righteousness in what they say and what they do and standing in judgment of other people. But for me, I am a humanist, as you guys know. I'm a humanitarian. I make no apology. You doggone right. I am not voting for any candidate that will not be about peace, not just in their words, but also in their deeds. I think millions of Americans being uninsured and underinsured, I can't rock with that when we got money for war. I can't get with that somebody can't afford their insulin. I can't get with people being unhoused in a disproportionate number. If we want to, sometimes we elevate people's status on the pain threshold. If we want to elevate veterans, which we do that from time to time as Americans, then why are veterans overrepresented in the homelessness, in the unhoused population? So it's just things like that for me is not necessarily a litmus test as much as it is being bold and not moving on certain things. Other things we can haggle about, but trying to have everyday Americans in this country enjoy their lives and knowing what some of those variables are to get them there, I'm not going back on. And I'm fed up too, though, Stephen and Emma Jo, with some of these progressives. They work my nerves. Emma Jo, you're right. If I go in there and say anything that's kind of off brand, here they come, and I let them know, don't come for me unless I send for you. Okay, because you're not going to tell me what to think, how to feel, who to support, what to do, who to talk to. Like, for example, some Democrats are upset because I enjoyed a very good relationship with Governor John Kasich, the Republican. Okay, Governor Kasich and I have a good relationship. We don't always agree, but we know it. One thing that we do, we honest with one another. And I've gotten more honesty out of him as a Republican than I have from most Democrats. I know where I stand. He knows where he stands. We ain't got to play games. And the number of Democrats that just think, oh no, hey, leave me, don't unfollow me. You ain't got to follow me, but Governor John Kasich will forever be my governor. Now, I don't rock with all of his policies, but I rock with him. So it's that kind of stuff. But anyway, Stephen is in the house in the group chat nation. Stephen, what say you, baby?
And show us your background.
Oh my God, what a sick, genius, amazing.
Thank you very much. I'm on my laptop. Listen, I got the best screenshot of Robbie ever. He was talking to a co-host, a woman that he works with regularly on a show that he does daily that they disagree with often. And she had said something incredibly, something that Emma Jo and I would have some serious disagreement with. I'll just say something like that. And most people would probably have a hard time just comprehending. And I got a screenshot. I'll do it next week. And it's him just like, he like caps off the thing and he goes like, and it's like I screenshotted the world's greatest face of his, and I was like, I gotta have it. I couldn't find it, but I put it up today. I put this up today, so I'll do it next week.
I love that, Stephen. Well, real quick to our producers, they often ask us what were the highlights of our show. Oh no, this segment right here with Stephen, rocking with Robbie like that. Stephen, I'm a little jealous now. When I get a shot of me, baby, when I'm missing in action, I need that same love.
When Robbie gets back, we should all have our background as this.
Having me in your life is about having a little jelly in it too. Look, I have a good life. Okay. I'll tell you this, I love this show. I love this show a ton.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favorite shows. And two ways the best platform in the internet.
It is.
It really is. I just want to kind of chime in. When I first saw Graham Plattner, I've got a pretty good whatever guidar, whatever, like human being dar. Like I've been in the car business my whole life. So I've interviewed, 25 million people. You know what I mean? Like literally I've shaken hands with 35,000 people in my life and got to know their stories over an hour or two, whatever. Sold 1 million cars to 1 million people, ran car dealerships my whole life. And man, when I saw this commercial, I go, man, this guy could be a problem. I'm an oyster farmer. I'm the blah, 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 whatever his little shtick is. And the second time I saw it, I said, I don't know, man. There's something just off. And it turned out that I was right? Not just anecdotal, but it just seems like the socialist movement is just like letting the barbarians in the city. It's like a Trojan horse to something that's just not good, because when is enough progressivism enough? Like if you're a progressive, when have we reached enough? Like, oh, these guys are lawmakers. Like, don't we have enough laws? Like whenever I want a guy that's like, hey, I'm going to go and we're not making any more laws. I'm going to try to pull some laws back and try to let people live their lives and try to lower your taxes and then secure healthcare for people that need it and whatever else. So I don't understand why we're constantly pushing for more when, most people seem okay. When does the progressivism stop, sort of, right? And mind you, I'm a red dog MAGA Republican. There's no more blue dogs. I'm a red dog MAGA Emma Jo. Let's go.
Love.
You had Nina nodding her head until that last part. Now you got some
I'm about to
the thing about Nina is, and then the Bernie bros and the Trump bros, is that we're all right there, right? We really are America first. We just have a different idea of what that means, right? And
you got me back. You got me back.
Screw everything up. Right. And then you have Democrats, and then, that's where everything goes awry, I'm just curious, what is it that's enough? When are we going to be a great country? When can Democrats go, hey, we are great? When will Democrats say that? Right. I'm just kind of curious, what y'all thoughts on, huh?
Democrats are not great. Okay. They just not.
No. I mean, as a country, I think that CNN put out a poll. I think it was yesterday or the day before, that 27% of Democrats thinks America is a place to be proud of. 27% of America of Democratic Americans think this is a place to be proud of. What are you talking about?
Like, what do you mean? Where's it a better place to be black? Where's it a better place to be gay? Where's it a better place to be a Jew besides Israel? Where's it a better place to be a free thinker?
By the way, not necessarily Israel. I get much less bombs going off in Brooklyn than
right.
Tel Aviv.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a really good point. So, I mean, just like, where is it a better place to be a person than America? I mean, Switzerland? Okay, like, I mean, and what are the common denominators there, right? Small countries, like, I mean, like, what do people
homogeneous.
What do they really expect?
Yeah, that's correct.
I mean, it's homogeneous. I mean, let's be honest with it, Steven. Since you're
Right.
gonna bring it up, baby, let's roll.
Right.
Let's roll with it.
I mean, right? That's the
By the way,
truth.
not
of it,
racially
right?
homogeneous, and not even homogeneous in language. You have German and French, let's say, for example, in Switzerland, it's culturally everybody's on the same in terms of the social.
For the most part, yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah,
Steve,
and like, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want
This is
Steven
my
to jump
show.
in here, but go ahead.
Listen, let me call on somebody else.
When you said how much is enough, that's really
Yeah,
getting
that was
to me.
I mean, yeah, people need help right now. I think there are way too many. The child poverty rate is way too high, and the opportunities are not evenly distributed in this country, and it's getting pretty extreme right now. So that's why I think these movements gain a lot of steam. I think.
Yes.
I think so I guess I'll just focus on that point. Like, I think these movements wouldn't be popular if the populace didn't need them. And whether that is populism on the right or populism on the left, it's rising. I think the question is, how do you make it positive populism, and how do you make it constructive populism? And that's really where my interest is, because I think if you just introduce a bunch of messaging bills, that's not real change. Real change looks like passing legislation and actually impacting people's lives. And that's where I think some of the populist extremes kind of lose me, is you need real change. Like, just saying certain things on social media and getting a bunch of followers, that's not good enough. So now we're at a point, and this is a major inflection point in the story, is you have some DSA members getting elected to real offices, like the mayor of New York City. Potentially, we'll see, maybe the mayor of Los Angeles,
DC.
now maybe the mayor of DC. I will see those are cities, very blue cities. We'll see in a more purple state like Wisconsin if that happens, probably not. But I think now you get to see what governance looks like. And I like actually how Mamdani in New York has been actually moderating some of his positions now that he's in a role of governance. You contrast that with the leading voices in Congress, whether it's Bernie Sanders and AOC, they're not out there passing a lot of legislation. They're out there sort of casting a vision. So now for the first time, we're seeing what governance looks like, and we'll see how the people respond to that.
And Emma Jo, so before we go to our next segment, I do want us to talk about why the president felt compelled to say he's going to take over DC. Now, knowing good and well, I mean, hopefully he understands civics. DC is not a state. It's already taken over by the Congress. But before you, and not just leaning on you to answer it, I mean, I'm being kind of sarcastic when I put that towards you. I do agree with you, Stephen, that there's a difference between running and governing. And I think a lot of people also in the progressive movement don't necessarily understand that, because the modern day progressive movement has not had that type of power. Now, again, I will go back to contrasting this progressive movement with the positions of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. And nobody could call him a socialist, but Stephen, to your point, the things that he realized through governing that the American people needed and deserved. And I want you, Stephen, if you haven't seen it, I'm not assuming that you haven't, but just go back and look at FDR's Economic Bill of Rights. It is very, very similar. And again, he was not a democratic socialist by any stretch of the imagination. Nobody in their right mind could call this man a socialist. It was about recognizing the pain points of the American people and wanting to solve that. And even in his For Freedom speech, it's the same thing: freedom from want, freedom from fear, freedom of speech, and freedom of religion, both at home and abroad. And I think there's something solid about recognizing. So when you say when is enough, when people are suffering from my position, and I know Emma Jo has said this to me countless times, that people like me, my brand of populism and progressivism, we do meet, as you just said, with the MAGA right as well. I just want the everyday American to have more than a fighting chance to live a good life. That's what I want. And I don't want money stored up. I don't want anybody to be a trillionaire. It ain't cute. And the likelihood that somebody that comes from my community or your community that's ever going to be a trillionaire is slim to none. It just ain't going to happen. And so how much money do people actually need while millions of people suffer? And they're not suffering because they don't work hard enough. They're suffering because the system is rigged in a way that makes it harder for working class people to just even to tiptoe through the tulips every now and then. I ain't even talking about nothing extravagant. So that's why I fight so hard, Stephen. Now I can't talk about these other folks. And Steve, our Steve, no, your point is right. You know, a lot of these people don't know what it's like to govern. And when you're in a legislative body, and I have been, you know, we can sit up there and talk the talk, introduce legislation. We really don't have no responsibility. That's the facts. It is not until you are an executive. And I've had the pleasure of working for a mayor in the great city of Cleveland. And I understand what executive service means as well. Everybody got a role to play. I'm not knocking the legislature because I am a creation of the legislature, but it is a lot different when you got to govern. So Emma Jones, for the love of God, why does our president keep talking about taking over stuff? They ain't got enough to do. He got to take over DC too. I'm trying to understand them.
There's something
I really am.
There's something so cute about it, actually, if you understand it, because it's like I should say cute. It's not cute. It's endearing. Because obviously what's going on is this. Like I've been watching this guy with an open mind and an open heart, perhaps, for a decade. And you know, I think I understand him emotionally in some way. Not that I necessarily relate, but I think I get it. And it's that he is there, he lives there. He's been living there on and off for 10 years. As you know, I'm sure when you spend time in DC, you certainly see this, where there's a lot of decay. There's a lot of, you know, social and just like visual havoc. You know, there's a lot of stuff that is getting dilapidated, especially surely that bothers him. And he sees himself as obviously capable of running the country. As president of the United States, you're not only running the United States, but you're running the world to some degree as well. He sees himself as able to manage a jurisdiction the size of DC. And I think because it's like in his immediate visual range, he just gets really frustrated by the mismanagement of it and knows that he could do a better job. So I think that is what he is expressing when he's talking this way. He doesn't really want to take it over, like actually like legally like ratify something or whatever. He wants to renovate it and he wants to have control over the grounds.
Said only if the Democratic Socialists wins. I mean, I'm rocking with you.
Yeah, because again, like one of those positions, you know, this is a great example. Why didn't I think of this in my first one? One of those positions that's like high risk and and feels high stakes, you know, and is a little too real, perhaps, is the cavalier attitude around crime. And it is cavalier and it freaks people out. You know, it ruins neighborhoods. It's really frustrating, actually. You know, like I live in a DSA controlled jurisdiction and it's way too relaxed. And like, you know, because everything is treated as like a mental health. We have to be compassionate. You know, this is what it's about. We have to be compassionate for mental health. On its face, that sounds nice. You know, I could get with that. Okay, like, yeah, like maybe you don't want to like be cruel to people who have mental health issues. Fine. And when I'm 28, 29, walking around a city with a lot of mental health issues, you know, okay, like it doesn't really impact me that much, you know, to see a guy with his pants down or something. But like now I have little kids. It's different if my little girl sees a guy with his pants down because he has a mental health issue versus me when I'm 27. You know, so it's like,
but is that really it, Emma Joe? Is there a thing about
get the mental health away from me. I can't do this. I'm a tax-paying, law-abiding citizen, and my little girl is not going to see this.
But it's not. See, now I mean, I don't think you mean to do this, but it ain't just people who are mentally ill who present themselves in ways that are not totally acceptable. Sure. I think the president has a problem with the Democratic Socialist part of this. I mean, he threatened New York in the same way. Then him and Mayor Mondami sat down and chummed it up, and he's kind of cooled on some of his rhetoric against Mondami. And the same thing may happen here. I think it has everything to do with democratic socialism. Not that I'm dismissing most of what you said, but I just believe, Steve, I don't know why would the president, because he got a lot of stuff to fix in this country that needs fixing that he could start with. But talking about democratic socialist takeover, the voters, if the socialist wins, right? If the DSA person wins, they would win because the voters voted that way. I mean, am I wrong about that?
Yeah, I think the president has some pretty big fish to fry. I think he should focus on the big things. He should be focusing on fixing this quagmire in Iran and Ukraine and the cost of living for Americans across the board. You know, you do like one thing I agree with him is that I do think you want a beautiful capital city, but you know, the city is actually beautiful. Like I don't agree necessarily with the narrative of decay. I think that DC is like one of the highest cost of living cities in the country right now. There's been an incredible amount of gentrification over the last 25 years. I mean, you might be able to say something about DC 30 years ago, 20 years ago, but it's a totally different situation now. I mean, in fact, like you can't really be a working class person and live in DC right now. It's almost impossible. So that's the new narrative on DC.
Also, though, is it just as a result of the democratic socialist policies because they think that there's no effect when they kill landlords with taxes regulations.
A socialist is not running DC right now in Majo or most cities. A self-avowed DSA member is not running most cities. So that's what I'm trying to understand. Truly understand.
They're progressive tax policies and progressive corporate policies.
I think the more important thing in DC is people want someone who's not going to be sent to jail. I mean, there've been a lot of mayors over the years who got involved in different corruption scandals, and they're looking for someone who's honest. And if they think this DSA candidate is honest, okay, put them in office and see how they do. If they don't like the results, they'll vote someone else in. But I don't think it's a premise for the president to quote take over DC. It's not a very conservative thing to do, in my opinion, either. I think he's got to focus on the big things. And when this pool, the reflecting pool is a whole debacle right now. Tons of money, and it's not even probably going to be ready.
How is it a debacle? I'm so glad you bring this up, and I'm so glad that you're a Democrat with a pulse and a mind that is in front of me right now. I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody about it, and
we're the only two.
Yeah, no, but like, no, actually, no, I have a lot of progressive friends, although they all whisper to me very quietly that they're kind of like, into some stuff that maybe people wouldn't appreciate.
You about to share some secrets
on the left. But, so I've been wanting to know, the reflecting pool, and for that matter, the other fountains around Washington that he's renovated look beautiful. Can someone please explain to me what's going on, why everybody is like mad or something about this? He painted the pool.
But it's green. It's not blue. That's the problem.
It isn't. You guys are hoaxing that's another thing that's going on, which is like there's so much effort involved in this op, and it's fascinating to me because it's so stupid. There's all of these photos circulating around social media that were from the Obama years, like so old. Like not even from Trump 1, like from before Trump 1, of Algae and the pool. And it's like
it has been so it has been a problem. Yeah, it's not unique to right now. The algae thing.
I want the president to focus on other things.
Yeah, like that's the more important point.
Like, do you guys think that he personally is taking time away from his responsibility to drain the reflection?
Give that assignment to somebody else.
He did a whole.
Had people. No, heck no.
He drove the beast through the reflecting pool. He actually drew attention to it actively. He made it an event that he attached his name and his brand to. I would like to see him attach his brand to lowering the cost of living for Americans. That's what matters right now.
That part, I ain't got no paper to throw. I don't know.
I agree, yes. But I actually disagree. And this is actually something that the left, I find, doesn't give enough not to again, like I keep calling you guys the left. I'm sorry, I know you have names
We
and
are
like
not the
personalities,
left.
but like once you're here, it's like a venting post. There's not enough of an appreciation for aesthetics on the left, which is too bad because they've always been like, obviously the center of culture for so many years and the best art producers. You don't find a conservative making a cappuccino that's beautiful and lovely and good. And you also don't find a conservative making a beautiful song, and you don't find a conservative making a beautiful painting. It's always liberals who are doing that. So you
Agree, agree,
there'd be
Imogen. But can we just
this value for aesthetics. But when it comes to these monuments, it's all of a sudden like, why is he repainting this dilapidated, disgusting algae pool? It's like, well, because it needs to look nice, because it matters.
No, but what, Imogen, I agree with everything you just said. Look, I'm not opposed to things being beautiful, but I am opposed to children being hungry at night. I am opposed to a president.
Because he's refurbishing.
Why can't the president focus on increasing the minimum wage? Why can't he focus the federal minimum? No, the federal minimum wage needs to be increased. Anyway, you know what? I want to try to get let's get Ryan in here, and we want to jump to the cultural sports because we don't really spend. I mean, this has been the whole show on this. Emma Joe, I just wish the president would focus. Can he delegate that? Can he delegate that assignment, Emma Joe? Can he delegate?
He can delegate. You know what he is doing? He's pointing. He's like, "That's really ugly. Someone deal with it."
Good. Oh God, but he's just
a little more than that. But Ryan, go ahead.
Ryan S.
Emma Joe, you got to take some credit. You got Ted Nugent. You got Kid Rock. You got Toby Keith.
Yeah.
You got some artists out there. Oh,
do you like the song Cowboy? Movie. Do you like the song Cowboy or Ba with the Ba?
When in my younger generation, I was a Ba with the Ba fan. I can say I have since lost my appetite for it, quite frankly. Just regarding aesthetics, I mean, I think we all agree that a more beautified capital of our country is a good thing. It's just putting the president's face on the DOJ does not equate to beauty to me. I understand the idea of fixing the reflecting pool, but I was looking it up while you were saying this was a hoax, Emma Joe, and I think you need to look this up because there is algae all over this pool right now, and they're trying to fix it rapidly. It just, from my perspective, I would like a president who is successful, who spends our taxpayer dollars in a way that reflects well on all of us. It's just frustrating when that is not the case. I hope that the ballroom actually does end up becoming a ballroom. But we consistently are hearing, since he said it was going to be something like $30 billion or something, now it's jumping up to new levels, because now it's not just a ballroom, it's also a bunker for maybe himself, maybe also future presidents. I can be for that.
He's not going to rip it up when he leaves office.
I'm not saying he's going to rip it up. I'm also not saying that he's going to be willingly leaving office.
Right. Don't tease me with such a wonderful.
I had to throw that in there. But yeah, I mean, we all want a successful president. It's just the follies that have occurred and continue to occur are what frustrate the quote left from your perspective, Emma Joe.
Well, I mean, who doesn't have follies? Like, especially with construction projects, my God, has anyone been keeping up with the Obama the Obama cultural like theme park or whatever? There's a plumber getting stiffed for $4 million. Can you imagine being a plumber in that situation? You're folding.
Are you talking about the presidential?
I'm not even criticizing Obama in my backhanded, very fast drive-by just now. But I am just saying,
Can it be a library?
But things happen if you've ever done renovations. It happens to everybody.
Well, it's rumors that this president has stiffed a whole bunch of people before he became president of the United States of America.
I don't want to hear the talking point anymore that like, oh my God, he's stiffed or whatever. It's like, I got a plumber.
I'm just saying, Emma Joe. But seriously, are you referring to the library?
Yes.
Yeah. What you call it, an amusement park?
What
you call it, Stephen? I guess she ain't wrong, though. I ain't gonna hate on it. Ain't all these presidential libraries are theme parks. Listen, I'm not happy about it. I mean, every president, he can get his little library, but I wish President Obama was using more of his cachet differently too. Okay, I got a whole bunch to.
And I want to give a shout out to President Truman, whose presidential kind of act of his legacy was creating a scholarship for young people who want to go into public service, as opposed to having a giant monument.
Edifice, right? A theme park.
Yeah, a theme park. Yeah.
Love it, Emma Joe. You're right. It's a theme park, but they all got theme parks. No, I wish my other president was spending more time doing more good for more people. He can do it now. You know, he has nothing to fear. So use that cachet. He's not using it. So I'm very disappointed. I'm put that out there. Damn, time went so fast. We only got about 10 more minutes. Let's jump right to culture and sports, unifying moments in a divided time. So we know that Knicks championship parade, the World Cup buzz, Joe Rogan on the UFC White House event. Lord, don't get me started. We ain't even got enough time. The events bring people together. Our producers have a sock that they can show us real quick of Joe Rogan. Here we go.
You're working for a cage fighting organization? Why would you do that? Cut to 25 years later. It's on the lawn of the White House, and it is one of the most watched sporting events in the history of the world.
Yeah.
I don't know what the total overall views are as of now, but I know that it was like well over, I think it was 150 million just by Monday.
Unbelievable.
Just by Monday. So that's like the night of, and then people that watched the replay that weren't there when the fight took place because they heard about it. But now between then and now we're dealing with Tuesday. Like, it's probably another 50 or 60 million people.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's our hot take? We know that the World Cup is bringing people together. Sports can bring out either the best and the worst of people. I mean, the Knicks, they beat my Cavs, so I ain't got no holler for the Knicks. And then how the Knicks fans did, some Knicks fans were out there fighting in the streets and beating up on Spurs fans, which it took me there. But in any case, I'm gonna put all that in the parking lot. Sports are bringing people together, and we got a president who thought that it was better to have men sitting up there rolling around in the grass than paying attention to the needs of the people in this country. But what say you, Stephen? What say you, Emma Joe?
God, we can't even do like a fight on the lawn without
we can't, Emma Joe. No, we cannot.
Someone light a cigarette without thinking about those who don't have like dinner or whatever.
I thought, I saw a poll showing that only 13% of Americans approved of the UFC event, but I'm actually with, I guess, the minority of Americans who think UFC is very much on the rise as part of the American culture.
On the front lawn, Stephen, of the White House.
Yeah, I wasn't reflexively against it. I get the culture behind it, but I will say about the broader point, the reason why a story like the New York Knicks unites so many different people is you have a story like Jalen Brunson, the star of the Knicks, who he's always been a winner, but he wasn't the biggest or the strongest or the tallest, or he didn't have a lot of these physical attributes, but it was a lot of hard work and drills to ultimately become this player. When he was first drafted, they didn't think he would be the all-star leading man kind of NBA player, but he became that. So I think people, whether you're left or right or any kind of background, you connect to a story like that. When I look at Wisconsin sports, whether it's the Green Bay Packers or the Milwaukee Bucks, I see political opposites both sitting next to each other and cheering on the same team. So that's the great thing about American sports. I often say they're the three S's that are the most unifying forces. You've got sports, sound, as in music, and service. So I think the more, especially we approach this July 4th, we focus on those three things, I think we'll be better off.
Emma Joe, let me tell you something. Stephen bringing the list today. What say you? I mean, damn, he's trying to show us. He's trying to show us up, Emma Joe. I don't like it.
I don't want to follow that. Like, oh my God, he's like talking about me. I was inspired for real.
Yeah.
I was touched. Um, yeah, like I don't know. I'm trying to find the like hot take, but I think that this president's obviously a cultural president, and UFC and sports and the aura and like the photos and the like planes coming over them and like it's just like it was so like it was so American and so like saturated culturally that I loved it, even though I don't care for combat sports or really sports in general, or any of this stuff. It feels like guy stuff and it's not really my interest, but I can appreciate again like the aesthetics of it. And I think that that matters. And I think that there's something really inspiring about it, even if you don't connect with the activity itself.
Yeah, I got you. Stephen F. and I are having a moment. That's why we did this to one another. Because Stephen F. wrote in the chat, better, greatest sporting event in history. And he must have caught my eye when I was reading it. And we did this to each other. So you know what? Group Chat Nation is the best. We picking up on each other's vibes. So anyway, I listen. It brought people together. I guess you and Stephen O. are right. In some ways, I'm outnumbered on this one. Yeah, I can't help but really want people to come together for more lofty things. I mean, if we can come together for that, I'm not saying don't come together for sporting events because we all need some levity in our lives. I want people to come together with that kind of fervor for our kids or for people in need. You know, that kind of, I want both and, y'all. I want both and. I don't want to be the Grinch that stole everything. Don't want people to be happy. I do. I want us to have some enjoyment, but I also want us to bring that kind of energy. I mean, the game, it bothered me. That game was the Knicks. It was the highest, in the history of basketball and people
since
spending
1998.
Since
the most watched NBA finals.
Yeah, what, $8 billion for a ticket or something like that? I mean, I ain't with it. Stephen F., I ain't with it. Paying $8 billion for a ticket. I'm just not. I'm not with it. But in any case, you know, who am I? I guess I am the Grinch.
No, that's the thing. It's like too, like, you know, like there's something about the socialist stuff. It's like so literal. Like there's something to be said for being poor near a sporting event or a concert. You know, like I don't know if you guys are like if this was a thing. I grew up in Canada, so it's like a very like different culture, and I know that, but like we used to like climb over like we used to do like the craziest stuff to get access to a concert for free or a sporting event for free. Like we'd be climbing over a fence and like switching tickets with somebody, like leaving to go to their car who we don't know, but it's like, yo, you look like you're leaving. Are you leaving? Can I have your ticket? Like come for the last 3 songs. You know, like there's something kind of fun and rugged and a better story about being poor at a high profile celebrity event that I think is being taken away when you have to make it you know, fair or whatever. It's like, no, sometimes you gotta just like be a little bit like creative and scrappy.
Emma Joe, okay. It is not, I mean, it's something. Woo! Like Jesus.
What I said, like I remember we snuck in once to a Britney Spears concert. I've like gone to a bunch of like
people can't afford to get into these sports. Most of the diehards can't even afford to enjoy these events.
But that's what I'm saying is like we couldn't afford it.
I don't think something is in. I don't think that's endearing. Even though I totally understand what you are saying, I think I know what you're getting at. But I'm telling you, if I had some papers, I would throw them right now. I'm slipping on my paper game. But I love you, Emma Joe. So, you know, I get it. I get it. Listen.
Papers. This is a throw papers.
Yes, because it's nothing endearing about being poor. It's just not. Anyway, that is our time for this week. Robbie, please hurry up and get back here. Stephen F., thank you for showing Robbie when he was not here. To all of you in Group Chat Nation, oh my God, we appreciate you so much. We had so much fun this week. I don't know if it was, I had a whole lot of fun. Maybe it's because I got to steer the ship today. I don't know, something about all that power, right? We're all searching for, but no, seriously, love being here with each and every one of you. Again, happy Father's Day to all of the fathers, people who love fathers, people who live fathers from all types. Just thank you for everything that you do. Don't forget to help us with our new channel. We are halfway to 1,000 likes, follows, whatever we get.
Subscribers.
That's progress. We need more, though. We need quicker, y'all. We shouldn't be begging for people to check the check. Whatever you need to do that. So until next time, Group Chat Nation, we are sending you so much love.